we have a topic today that I have noticed is it's a wide concern from coaching with clients, and that it's around our speaking pace.
Yes.
When I'm teaching and coaching, I will ask classes, do you speak too quickly? And the majority will say yes, that there is this awareness of speaking too quickly.
Yeah, it's so frustrating for some people because they even become aware of it. They know they're fast talkers, and they have people saying, slow down, and they can't change that habit like that. I mean,
Not in the moment.
It's a frustrating thing. They're like, well,
it is.
Some people accept that I'm just a fast talker. And I, as a coach, I always say, no, you talk fast as a habit, but you're not a fast talker, because you can talk at a reasonable pace. It's just you formed a really bad habit. Right?
Yes, and I'm laughing because I have recently been listening to a coach, a business coach, and I listened to his podcast, and he is the fastest talker I have ever experienced, and he knows it, and he will say in his podcast, look, I know I talk really fast. I don't care. Get over it. It cracks me up.
Well, it's so perfect. I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is a person that I would say is just getting words out. You know, their mindset is, I've got this content to share, and I'm going to give myself license to share it any way that my habit dictates, any way that suits me well. And the problem, well, how would you describe the problem? He says, get over it, but
he does.
But what happens to the listener?
Well, it's interesting because people pay for his coaching, and he's really good at what he does. And I believe that's why people hang in with how fast he communicates. However, I really struggle with it because my brain doesn't process that quickly.
Exactly.
I will listen to a recording and I will have to pause after a couple of sentences that he has just shared so I can process and absorb what he's saying. So it takes me 2 hours to listen to a 1 hour podcast.
Well, and that's what I would say to somebody like that. I'm always saying to people that talk fast or have other similar speaking issues where it's hard to process what they're saying, whether it be mumbling or up talking or some of the things we've talked about in the past, is you talk to get ideas in. You don't talk to get words out. You're too into your own content, but content, even if you have the best content in the world, which it sounds like this gentleman has great content.
He does.
If people can't process it fully, then you're losing something. You're not helping the listener get the most out of it, right?
It creates a lot of frustration. And the bummer is that it's not taking care of the audience. We're there for the audience. It's all about the audience. And so we need to make sure we are communicating in a way that is effective for them, not to distract from the message.
Yeah. I wanted to mention this thing that happens with pace, the experience of a fast talker from the listener's point of view. Just so we know our listeners are clear whether they're actually fast talkers or there's something else going on. The other thing that sometimes goes on, which can feel like somebody's talking too fast, is when somebody speaks but has no periods. There's no sentence structure. There's no period sound. There's none of that silence before they begin.
Comma.
Yeah. That's a different, it's a related problem, I think, because I often find people that have a fast word rate also do this. They also, I call it rambling, but call it what you may, it's this getting rid of periods and replacing them with conjunctions like so, and, or but. And you feel as a listener like you're drinking from a fire hose.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like the entire presentation is one run-on sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are there other tricks or things that you do when you're working with people that are speaking too fast to help them slow down?
Yeah. I have them focus on that period.
Yeah. Me too.
I want them to feel the period.
Yeah.
So it's that intentional pause, wrapping up that sentence or wrapping up that thought, and actually feeling yourself giving your audience that period.
Yes.
That beautiful pause, which tells the audience, I'm about to start a new sentence.
Well, I disagree with that, but I think you'll agree with me when I say this. I would say it says, process what I just said. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it does, because that period, that slight pause is allowing your audience just a moment to process and catch up.
Yeah, right.
With what you're trying to say. Yeah, there is a cool practice technique to help create this new habit of landing on the periods.
Yeah.
And that's when you are practicing, you actually say it out loud. You give a thought or a sentence, and then you literally say, period.
Yeah, you're saying it's so. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to respond to that because I'm like, oh my God, we do everything so similarly.
Or even comma. So you literally say it out loud because then it's helping to reinforce a different habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really helpful. Really helpful.
I've coached my clients to say, when they get to the end of a sentence and they're first starting to discover, their mind kind of knows there's supposed to be a period there, but they're so used to rambling or speaking fast that they just skip by that instinct. And then they learn to trust it. I'll even at times when someone's talking to me and there should be a period, I'll help them in a drill-like way and go, and like, oh, that's supposed to be a period. Then they hit the period and they say, think about it. I mean, that's in lieu of saying like period. That. It's similar, but it's nice because what I want people to do at that point where they hit the period sound is to move their awareness out onto their listener as their listener processes, even if it's for a fraction of a second. So they hit the period and then they look at their listener and listen to their listener with their eyes, watch them process. Maybe their listener, has a curious look or something. Those looks in the gap there between the period and the next sentence are also important. It allows you to know, did that sentence get in?
Yes. Observing your audience at the same time. You just triggered another thought here, why that period is so important. It's because it also allows the presenter to take a breath, to breathe.
Yes.
Because if we're nervous and our speaking pace is rapid, we're only heightening our nervous system. We're only making it worse for ourselves. So when we give ourselves permission to truly land on that period, take a quick breath, it's beautiful for everyone involved, because the faster a presenter speaks, it creates this anxious environment. And then the audience is mirroring you. The audience is feeling anxious because they are feeding off of the presenter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's wrap this one up.
Okay.
What do you want to emphasize for our audience?
I would say a lot of presenters are aware if they are talking too quickly. However, if you're not sure, ask. Ask some trusted colleagues. I always go back to that. Do I speak too quickly? Do I pause enough so you can process what I'm saying? Having that awareness is the first step. And then, Scott, it's going to go back to when you're practicing out loud, say period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And feel the difference.
Yeah. I I love all of this. I think it's going to be very helpful for people that speak too fast, but I have to say, it's not just for people that speak too fast, because what we've touched on is the importance of a period. And it's more than just a pause. To me, you can even think of a period as a command to your listener's brain, a friendly command that says, process what I just said. And if all talking's about your listener processing what you just said, that makes the period really fundamental. Next episode, what are we focusing on?
Well, there is another speaking habit, up talking.
Yes. Well,
do you want to give a demonstration in case someone is not aware of what it sounds like?
Sure. So the next episode, we're going to be doing up talking. And we're going to focus a lot on how we finish sentences, because that's super important. So we'll hit that one next time.
That's it.
I'm pretty good at that, right?
Yes.
Too good. Maybe too good. All right, everybody. Hey, please, if you're enjoying what we're putting out there, please rate our podcast. Please leave a comment, some feedback. That helps attract other people to this wonderful podcast that we're putting out there. So
thank you
very much for your time, and we will see you next week.
Take care.